Okay, we're live.
I can never get that right. It's either too soft or too loud. I haven't got the in between yet. I want to call this meeting of the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines to order at 7 o'clock. The first item on our agenda is the invocation. Denny King will be giving us our invocation tonight.
Shall we pray? Our Heavenly Father, as we come to this day, we thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day and for all the blessings that you have given us here, especially at St. Pines. As we begin this meeting and the start of our season, we ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we make decisions on those needs for Sandy Pines. Help us to be unified in making these decisions, and above all, we pray that your will be done. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, could we please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kimberly, could you please do the roll call for us?
Ellen Carpenter.
Here.
Jenny Hager. Here. Jim Huck.
Here.
Kelly Johnson.
Here.
Dennis King.
Here.
Larry Munger.
Here.
Paul Capel.
Here.
Stephanie Stefania.
Here.
Scott Lyman.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of Newpark members from April of 2022. Jeff, could you give us the demographics and information?
Yes. For April 2022, we had 6 new sales. We had 4 of those sales going through our sales office. 2 of them were reported by owner, totaling 12 new members to the park. And the demographics are, we have 2 members in their 20s, 2 in their 40s, 6 in their 50s, and 2 in their 70s. And that's the summary for sales for April.
Okay, thank you. I will entertain a motion to accept the new members as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the approval of notes from April 2022 from the Board of Directors meeting. Did any of the Board of Directors have any questions or corrections or comments? I will entertain a motion to accept the April of 2022 notes as presented.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. The finance report, we're going to hear some comments from Jenny Hager, our treasurer.
The finance committee. Oh.
I should have done that for you at a time, sorry.
That's good. Sorry. The finance committee met last Wednesday. We reviewed the financial statements for April for both Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails and the Lake Monterey Golf Course. We also reviewed the check distributions for the month of April for both of those entities. We had some good discussion. We could see that the park is getting ready, was getting ready in the month of April for opening and for members. So that's exciting to see after kind of a quiet winter, with the financial statements and the activity in the park. So, we had good discussions, some questions, comments, and overall, we had a quorum and we approved both of those entities' financial statements and check registers. We also reviewed the preliminary budget for operating for St. Pines Wilderness Trails for the 2022 fiscal year that begins October 1. And we also reviewed the golf course preliminary budget, operating budgets. So it's just a work in progress. We start looking at it this time of the year so we can keep up to date on that and ask questions and look into things before we actually approve it later on this summer.
Okay, Kimberly?
All right, as of April 2022, Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statement, activity, operation cash was 3.6 million, which provided a days in cash reserve of 210 days. With the final FEMA reimbursement of 1.06 million expected to be received the middle of June through the state, and will increase those days in cash of reserve back to 270 days. Ideal protection for not-for-profit is 180 days, so our operation cash is at a good point right now. Asset replacement cash is 1.2 million, and that includes the capital assessment transfer from dues for the current year. Other receivables is currently holding the 1.068 million final FEMA reimbursement, which I stated is expected to be released mid-June. Acquisitions, land improvements, you will note that includes the current construction and progress cost for the golf cart bridge structure. April 2022 accounts payable. The 1.2 million does include a timing of a check payable for the bridge construction, and that will be released by the asset replacement cash on the balance sheet. April 2022 net income is 1.9 million, which is 73,000 under prior year at the same point in time. Total operating income as of April 2022 is 350,000 over prior year and 29% from reaching the fiscal year budget of 7.02 million. Total operating expenses as of April 2022 is 263,000 over prior year and 53% under the year end fiscal year budget of 7.05 million. The Schwab investment portfolio had a year-to-date decline of 187,000 unrealized loss due to the current economic market within bond activity. Per conversation with the Sandy Pines investment advisor, there are no concerns with specific funds as they are being monitored closely, and the activity is just riding the current economic shift, which is expected to increase in the future, hopefully. An individual department analysis was reviewed and provided to the finance committee and board of directors and is available for review in the posted financial statements for April 2022.
Do any of the board of directors members have a question or comment on what Kimberly just discussed? I'll entertain a motion to approve the April 2022 Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails financial statements.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kimberly, can you discuss the Lake Monterey golf course financial statements, please?
Sure. April 2022 was still a quiet month for Lake Monterey Golf Course. But as of April 2022, operating cash for the golf course was 53,000 over prior year. Net income as of April 22 is 25,000 over prior year and is a good start for the beginning of the season. And the golf course is looking at providing additional food offerings and options, including sit-down style to bring more business into the clubhouse. So we can look forward to that activity coming into the new season.
Does anyone on the board of directors have any questions or comments on the Lake Monterey financial statement?
Just that the date is wrong
Yeah, it's April 2022,
on
not
the agenda.
April 2021. There's a few places where it was incorrect. I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I think it was Scott.
Got it.
Yeah. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kimberly, could you give us an overview of the 2022 preliminary budget process, please?
That's a typo too.
That's a typo. Oh, it's 2023. We are a year behind. Okay.
Going back in time.
We missed a year there.
Missed a year.
As mentioned, in a review, the 2022-2023 preliminary draft of the operational budget was presented and began review by both the finance committee and the board of directors. And this will be an ongoing process from month to month up to its final approval in August of 2022. Per the bylaws of Sandy Pines, the CPI index for the 12-month increase as of March 2022 is the value that will be used going into the new season. And when that was released, the percentage of that CPI increase for the Midwest region is 8.6%. So that will equate to $125 increase to the operational dues per member going into the new season. And that is compared to the 3% increase that went through for this current season. Currently, as of the current budget, 2021-2022 budget, the net, we are operating or we budgeted as a net expense since we are a not-for-profit of $134,000. The preliminary draft budget currently has narrowed in that difference to about an $80,000 expense net budget with a budgetary change of $54,000. Our adjusted cash budget has increased from $463,000 in the current year budget to $545,000. So that's a pickup of $81,000 to the adjusted cash budget. Again, these are very preliminary draft numbers for the current going into the next season. And as we see the needs within the park going through the current season, we will adjust those and present those as it comes forward.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda are comments from myself and then from Jeff. I want to welcome everybody back to the park. I hope you've noticed that we do have increased and improved PSO coverage. We have more patrols going on in the park. We have, it's nice we have somebody at phase 3 monitoring things. I also want to thank some of the members in phase 3. Last Saturday night, we had what could have been a very scary fire event. Some neighbors saw a fire start in a neighbor's park model. They put the fire out, called 911. It was, if not for them seeing that and dealing with it, probably at least that trailer and possibly several others could have caught on fire. So I want to make sure and thank them. And that comes to my monthly request for people to volunteer to be on committees and to also help with events. We really want to have people get on committees and voice their opinions. It's really good to see more people here at this meeting, but when you're on a committee, you get to hear things first. You get to help make some of those decisions and give your input. If you On the website, there are a list of the committees that are available, and you can apply for those. It gives you instructions on those. And some of them, are not a lot of commitment. There's only a couple meetings per year. Some of them are a little more involved. Also, I hope everybody's had an opportunity to drive over that bridge. It was a little interesting the first time you're up there, but it's very nice. I walked across it this morning, and it's very much appreciated. It's very nice, but safer than crossing that road. Jeff?
All right. Looks like this battery is dead, so I think I can speak loud enough. Thanks, Ellen. So again, welcome everybody. April, we had a little bit of a lighter crew. We welcomed them as well. It's good to see more people here this month. You can see we've got a lot on the agenda that we've got to get through. A couple of comments from the operational end. We were getting a lot of questions about pool operations coming up since Memorial Weekend is heading around the corner here. Kathy Striebel, our new rec manager, she's done a lot of pre-work during the off season. We have schedules out there for lessons that are out on the new website. I encourage you to go out and take a look at the new website. A lot of activities are out there. Our communications manager, Ian Mitchell, has done a really good job of condensing that website, making it a lot more search friendly. And the calendar has taken a lot of work to get that up front with a lot of the activities. And pool operations are going to be similar to what they were last year. We are in a struggle again to try and locate lifeguards. And we're trying to meet the state of Michigan's requirements for the ratio of lifeguards to individuals in the pool. We will do a rotation on the hour again this year. We got a lot of feedback. There were some questions already online. Did we survey and poll every single member? The answer is no. We did put a poll out there and a survey out there on the website, and I want to say 300 or so members did respond to that last season. At the end of the season, we were asking for input, and the majority of the members appreciated the rotation. It's not as crowded. The kids have more room and time to spend in the pool. So we'll continue that going forward. Capacity numbers, we're going to finalize those capacity numbers for all the pools, including phase 3, next week, and we'll get that out on the website as soon as possible. So we can start communicating to the membership. We also have confirmed for this year, we will be open on Friday, Memorial Weekend. We did not have it open last year, Friday. I believe it started Saturday, late afternoon. So we do have a schedule out there that will be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the holiday. Another comment, some feedback from membership last year on our bridge and some of the projects that we do through Sandy Pines. Get some renderings out there, what are some of these projects look like? So if you look behind on the TV, behind the board here, we do have renderings of the South Shore, the proposed South Shore building that we'll talk about later in a resolution. And we also have renderings of the phase 2 pool that the pool committee has done some work on over the last year or so. And these will be posted on the website as well. These are initial renderings of these 2 projects. And as we communicated, I want to say, I believe December, the FEMA project for the South Shore, in order to meet FEMA timing, did kick an application off. And we did that in the off season in January, but we committed to the membership that you're going to see renderings and you're going to have an opportunity to have a voice in that building. And that's what you're seeing up here. The process for FEMA will take about 12 months. So we had to apply for the grant funds in January. So you're looking at potentially getting some feedback January 2023 as to is the application approved or not. So this will, again, not to jump ahead on the resolutions, but this will then be voted on in August. And if the membership accepts it, then we'll accept the grant. If the membership declines it, then we will say to the state of Michigan, thank you, but we're going to pass it. There are ramifications of that, though. If we do pass, it'll make it rule. We want to go through that process again. But again, the membership asks for a voice in these larger projects, and you'll see through the rest of this meeting that you're gonna get that voice. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Under old business, we have Lake Committee recommendation and rules update. Paul, could you discuss what went on at your meeting?
I guess we have to be electronic here.
Yes.
My wife always says I talk too loud, so I didn't think I'd need a microphone. So an update with the rules committee, with the Lake Committee, as we continue to meet, as we've done diligently weekly over the last couple of years. Update the buoys, if you recall from last year, got a lot of good support, got a lot of good things. So the minions will be going in next week in preparation for the Memorial Weekend. So we'll have those up in time. Another part that the Lake Committee was part of is the Phase 4 swimming area. A couple of the fellows took their own initiative and with the blessing of the Public Safety Office, put out some roped off designated swimming areas. So it wasn't quite so arbitrary. You didn't just have a buoy every 20, 30 feet, but they were actually roped off. So that'll be accomplished before the Memorial Weekend as well. As Ellen had stated, we're happy to see security out and about in the park. We're also happy to see that we have a dedicated Marine officer. After speaking with Steve Raymond, who's in charge of the Public Safety Office as far as personnel and scheduling, she has been designated and assigned to spend 40 hours per week on the lake. In fact, I just saw her today. My neighbor and I were putting in our dock, and I was working in water up to here, and she came by 10 minutes later. I was kind of disappointed at that she missed us by 10 minutes, but that's okay. It was good to see her out there, and Patty will be out and monitoring our lake and making sure that rules are followed there. The pumps that we had talked about last year, we thought would be a relatively simple process, although not economically necessarily, but we thought it'd be relatively simple. But whenever you start touching dirt and touching water, the DEQ wants to get involved. So there is an application process, which is in process. So it's kind of caused a delay with the pump situation. So that's what's happening with that. As far as you're probably aware, we do have a current temporary ban on ballast functions of boats to alleviate some of the potential hazards or potential problems that could be caused by surfing activity. And our committee, which I'm a part of, as are a couple of other board members. There are 8 or 10 of us. It's kind of a core group. We were part of the impetus that actually brought that to fruition, and it's a great start. However, there's some shortcomings. For one, now that we have a dedicated Marine officer, it's very difficult to ascertain a boat that actually has ballast function and what doesn't. It's very difficult to look at an angle of attack and say, yep, that's a ballast. No, it's not. Very difficult to tell. So very difficult for a public safety officer on the water to be able to tell one way or the other. The other issue that we saw last year is there were a couple of very creative miscreants that decided they wanted to figure out a way to beat the ban by putting 4 or 6 people on the stern of the boat. So that would drop the boat, thus creating waves. They weren't using a ballast, so they were legal. But again, that created kind of a problem for the PSO because they weren't doing anything illegal, albeit
perhaps unsafe, but it made it very difficult. So when we met this past Tuesday, there were 6 of us present, and with unanimous, between the 6 of us, we felt that the activity of surfing itself should be banned for the upcoming season. And we didn't arrive at that decision flippantly. That was a very difficult decision. And we've been poring over reams of data and information over the last year. But the most compelling reason why we felt that this was very important was information that was actually shared through all the members. It was shared through email here in the last couple of weeks. Hopefully you received it in your emails, that there was an independent study out of the state of Minnesota that stated with the surfing activity and the angles of attack and the waves that are created, that our lake, the way that it is with its size and its depth, is just not, it just doesn't have the capacity to support having that type of activity on the lake. So the lake committee has asked me to come forward, to come to the board as a recommendation, which I will be bringing next month as a motion to give you all the opportunity to chime in to actually ban the activity, the surfing activity itself, just surfing. So that's where we are at with the lake committee. I will also state, when I talked about it, we didn't make this decision easily. There were actually 2 members of the lake committee, 2 present members of the lake committee that felt very strongly about all this evidence and actually sold their ballast producing boats and purchased pontoon boats because they recognize that this is a potential problem, perhaps not tomorrow, perhaps not next week, but very good possibility for our kids and grandkids, that's not a good situation in the long term for our lake. We just don't have the size nor the depth to accommodate that type of activity. In fact, the other thing with the ballast is now there is a pontoon boat manufacturer, and they produce a pontoon boat that's under 24 feet, so it meets the criteria of our lake, and it actually has hydraulic functions underneath the fins that allows them to create surfing waves. Thus, the present ballast ban would not prevent them from creating surfing waves, and yet it's a pontoon boat doing it. So, and I'm sure they're not going to be the first to do that. So, long-winded answer. That's why the Lake Committee will be bringing to a motion, or I will be bringing as a representative of the Lake Committee next month to bring that as a motion to vote to ban the activity of surfing. So that's where we're at on the Lake Committee.
I have my microphone back.
Come on back.
Jeff, could you talk a little bit about the cart bridge? Give us an update.
Yes. So we've, obviously we've opened the cart bridge. You guys have seen it. Seen a lot of traffic going through there, and we are not 100% done. We're still, unfortunately, reaping some supply chain issues. Lights are going to be put on those. They're going to be kind of like can lantern lights that will shoot down rather than out. We're waiting for those to be delivered and then installed. We also have a delay on the rest of the fencing, so you'll see the bright, beautiful orange fencing that we have there as temporary fencing. That should be installed here within the next week or 2. And we do have a camera from the phase 6 area as security. We'll have another camera from the phase 3 end on that. That camera is delayed as well for about 1 to 2 weeks after that to get that installed. So rather than continue to delay it, the structure has been approved and signed off. We thought we had some fluff in the timeline with the communication of mid-May. We had a couple of safety reviews, and we added some additional timber guardrail down towards the bottom of those embankments as your ramps. And then we also added some riprap around there as the asphalt was laid, there were lips there, and we didn't want any golf cart tires getting caught on those lips and then being drawn off the side of the road. And so we've added some riprap around there for some additional safety features, so your tires don't get pulled off. So in short, we're looking at probably fully lamps, lights installed, cameras installed, probably the end of this month. We continue to try and press with getting those supply chain issues taken care of. But it has been approved, it has been signed off. We've had safety individuals come out and take a look at it. So appreciate your patience and apologize for the delay in getting that open. We're continuing to work as hard as possible to finish that project up.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. We also, I want to take this opportunity to remind you that at this meeting, we will have member comments at the end, writing questions and any questions, open communication questions and answers will be dealt with at tomorrow's face-to-face. It'll be in this building at 9 a.m. So I'm sure everybody will have some questions after we go through these resolutions. So I'm going to take that right into this the new business. We have 5 resolutions that we're going to vote on tonight to see, to attempt to put them on the ballot. We are not voting to approve these recommendations or these activities at this meeting. What we're doing is we're trying to put them on the ballot and give the members the opportunity to vote. We want more transparency. We want your input. We'll have lots of information. Like Jeff said, we have this rendering up here. We'll have renderings on the pool that we're talking about. We'll have more information on the bylaws changes. Those are good things to talk about at face-to-face. The membership will vote on these things in August. So that should give us plenty of time to ask questions and work out some details. We're still working out some details on a few of these things too, but we want you to have the opportunity to vote. We're not going to just say, we're going to do this. We want you to vote and we want your opinion. So we'll start out with the first one. I'm going to read the first one. Unfortunately, the pollen and the dust has taken a toll on my sinuses, and I'm struggling with talking, which is highly unusual for me. So Denny and Ginny are going to assist me in reading these because they can get pretty tedious. Okay, we'll start right off. The first one is a resolution regarding a bylaw change having to do with section 4 of the bylaws. So I'm going to take the opportunity to read this now. Resolution number 052022A, resolution to place on the 2022 annual ballot to amend bylaws, Article 4, sale and/or purchase of association properties, Section 2, sale and/or purchase of personal property. Whereas Article 14, Section 1.1 provides that the bylaws of Sandy Pines may be amended only by a majority vote of a quorum of members voting at the annual or special elections. Whereas Article 13, Section 5A permits that the board may, by resolution, place proposals on the ballot to be voted on by the membership. Whereas the bylaws of Sandy Pines, Article 4, sale and/or purchase of association properties, Section 2, sale and/or purchase of personal property, currently states, the board of Sandy Pines may consider the sale and/or purchase of personal property on behalf of Sandy Pines. The board shall not spend more than 2.5% of the Sandy Pines current annual operating budget for a single construction project or asset. Any expenditure in excess of this limitation must be approved by a majority of members voting at a special or annual election where such proposed action is disclosed in the notice of such election provided. However, no such approval shall be required if the expenditure shall be one required by federal, state, or local governments, Or two, if the expenditure is of an emergency nature as determined by the board. Whereas the Board of Directors for the health, safety, and welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interest of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify Article 4, Section 2 of the bylaws, which is on page 60. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve for a member vote at the 2022 annual meetings the following proposed amendment to Article 4, Section 2 of the bylaws, sale and or purchase of association properties, to read as follows. Section 2, sale and or purchase of personal property. The sale and or purchase of personal property on behalf of Sandy Pines is subject to the following rules. A, board approval required. The board is authorized to approve the sale and or purchase of personal property in the following circumstances. Any expenditure that is funded by a capital fund assessment that was previously approved by the members at a general or special election. Any expenditure that is not in the approved budget of Sandy Pines and is less than 2.5% of the Sandy Pines then current annual operating budget, so long as Sandy Pines has sufficient capital resources to acquire the personal property without taking on debt or granting a security interest in the personal property to be acquired. Any expenditure that is required by an act of or notice from any federal, state, local, or other governmental agency. Any expenditure that is deemed an emergency or of an emergency nature in the discretion of the board. Any sale or personal property where the asset has an appraised value greater than $25,000. B, member approval required. Member approval for the purchase of personal property is required in the following circumstances. One, when the budgeted cost of a single construction project or asset is more than 2.5% of the Sandy Pines then current annual operating budget, unless approved by the board per section 2A above. Two, when the acquisition of the personal property would require Sandy Pines to take on debt or grant a security interest in the personal property to be acquired. Any vote under this section shall be held at a special or annual election where such proposed action is disclosed in the notice of such election provided. C, general operations budget. If the purchase of personal property is in the approved budget of Sandy Pines, then approval of the board is not required, nor is approval of the membership required. If the sale of personal property is in the normal course of business and the asset does not have an appraised value exceeding $25,000, then approval of the board is not required, nor is approval of the membership required. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Any discussion?
We'll approve the motion and we'll have discussion.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion or questions from the board?
Yes. Last summer, I circulated a petition to change this very bylaw. I didn't have any member. The bylaws would provide members to make the change. When the board found out, we reacted possibly towards me because I did not inform them of my actions. And this very bylaw that they're proposing now is made up by several board members. And circulated in petition form because it is already too late for them to put it on as a board. Since this would put two bylaw changes on the ballot, covering the exact same bylaw, it was decided that I would withdraw mine on the condition that they withdraw theirs and there'd be no changes. I thought that was the end of the situation. I thought that was the end of them putting this bylaw change, but it seems not. So my question to you and the board, if I once again get a petition and my rights by the bylaws and the member, Well, I received advice from Jeff and the board for doing such a change.
Larry, I don't see that we were being hostile. We just had a differing opinion. And in fact, this bylaw change of language is in the majority, or in my opinion, is a clarification of the existing language, and it's how we have operated. It's not a change. It's a clarification that makes it easier for it to understand. And I have never sought revenge against anyone as a board member, and I don't see that happening in the future.
Now, see where I stand from, I was told that I could be sanctioned from the board. I could be called up on being not loyal to the board. And they could take action to remove me from the board. And it wasn't with quiet conversational tone. Some of the people were yelling at me. I had one individual condemn me in words I would not repeat here. But I find out the very next day when I looked at the proposal that you and several other board members circulated, that this person had circulated a petition around just like I did, and yet I was guilty of a major crime, and they could not see that they had done the exact same thing.
That is not exactly how
I'll agree to disagree on the issue.
Okay, we can agree to disagree, but I think what we need to do at this point is you've stated, your opinion. I've stated mine. Do any other board members have an opinion?
I would like to say something. One of the things that we talked about when we discussed that was that we need to be unified and work together as a board. So when one board member goes out and does that and doesn't discuss it with the rest of the board, it did put a bad taste in our mouths. Let's just say that. So we discussed, let's work together. Let's also work with the attorney and let's clarify this language. This, what Ellen just read, I know it is very long, tedious, excuse me, hard to understand. But this is just clearing up and making more clear the current language that's in the bylaws. It's not changing anything. So as a board, we got together, we even had the attorney at one of our meetings, one of our work sessions, so that we could make sure we are doing the right thing. And we wanted to work together as a board to be unified. So that's my opinion of our stance when that event occurred.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to comment as well. Larry, yeah, I would agree to disagree on most of the comments that you made. When you brought your proposal forward, there was also another member that brought their proposal forward. And the discussion was to table both of those proposals and try and come together through our attorney, because both appear to be conflicting, and provide a more clear clarification of the section to the members. And that's the process that we committed to, and that's the process that we did. And that's what's on this resolution in front of the board today.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to add that, as you can see, this isn't a board that backslaps and approves everything somebody brings forward. This board has very long and open discussions on every topic that we bring forward. And not one person that I know of, if I didn't agree with what, in this case, with what Larry was saying, we just disagreed. We both want to do what's best for the general membership. And so when we finally come to a vote, that it's our responsibility, whatever the vote is, is to make that vote as successful as possible while still monitoring what we decided, because we can always change at a later date. But just so you know, this board does not always agree together, but we work through those, and that's what we're supposed to do, is work through and come for the best resolution, not of us as individual board members, but as a park as a whole. And I would hope that's what you would want. I hope you wouldn't want us all to sugarcoat and agree to everything that comes up. So it's the way it is.
Anyone else? And my last comment on this is that we're not going to agree on everything. We shouldn't agree on everything. But in the end, when the majority votes, we should support, as a board, we should support the majority's decision. In any kind of an election, you should support the end result. And so with that, I am going to, oh, it's a roll call. Kimberly, could you do the roll call, please?
Marie Dunstan,
Yes.
Paul Buckle,
Yes.
Scott Wyman,
Yes.
Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Jim Hunt,
Yes.
Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Larry Munger,
No.
Stephanie Santana,
Yes.
Jenny Hager.
Yes.
Approved 81.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one, and Ginny is going to be so kind to read it for me so I can have a drink of water.
Okay, resolution number 052022B. Resolution to place on 2022 annual ballot to amend bylaws. Article 5, use of Sandy Pines property. Section 3, publication and posting. Whereas Article 14, Section 1.1 provides that the bylaws of Sandy Pines may be amended only by a majority vote of a quorum of members voting at the annual or special elections. Whereas Article 13, Section 5A permits that the board may, by resolution, place proposals on the ballot to be voted on by the membership. Whereas by law, Article 5, use of Sandy Pines property, Section 3, publication and posting currently states, the board shall be responsible for the distribution of a copy of the current rules and regulations to each person becoming a member of Sandy Pines. Any rules or regulation changes adopted by the board shall be published in the official Sandy Pines newsletter, posted on the website, and posted on the official bulletin boards in the park. The effective date of the change or changes shall be noted therein, but shall not be earlier than the mailing date of the newsletter. Copies of the rules and regulation changes shall be available to all members on the official Sandy Pines website and at the administration office for those without web access. Whereas the Board of Directors for the Health, Safety, and Welfare of Sandy Pines believes it is in the best interests of Sandy Pines to amend and clarify the bylaws, page 61. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve for a member vote at the 2022 annual meeting the following amendments and additions to the bylaws. Article 5, use of Sandy Pines property. Section 3, publication and posting. The board shall be responsible for the distribution of a copy of the current rules, regulations, and bylaws handbook at the point of sale to each new membership of Sandy Pines by providing a form with instructions on how to find the electronic version of the rules, regulations, and bylaws handbook, and if desired, a form to request a hard copy of the rules, regulations, and bylaws handbook. A fee may be applied to cover the cost of a hard copy. Any rules or regulations changes adopted by the board and any bylaw changes adopted by the members shall be published in the official Sandy Pines newsletter, both electronic and hard copy, posted on the website and posted on the official bulletin boards in the park. The effective date of the change or changes shall be immediately unless noted therein, but no fines or assessments shall be applied until after the posting of the electronic version in the Sandy Pines official newsletter or 10 days, whichever is the longest. Copies of the rules, regulations, and bylaws handbook shall be available to all members of the official Sandy Pines on the official Sandy Pines website and at the administration office for those without web access. The change to the electronic version of the rules, regulations, and bylaw handbook shall be updated no longer than 1 week from the earliest change or changes effective date. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution.
Thank you, Jenny. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution, to place this on the ballot.
Second.
Okay, I do have one comment on this before we go further. This seems like a cosmetic change, but you know, the language of our bylaws is kind of archaic in this area. You know, we could make changes and we couldn't, you know, put them into effect as quickly and as efficiently. And this will keep things moving along. We're not going to be relying on the actual mailing of a newsletter. You know, we can move it along a little quicker than that. Larry is the one who pointed this out and wrote this resolution or wrote the language. Larry, do you have anything?
No, I tried to make it fair for both what Jeff has to do and posting, new rules and bylaws and make it fair for the members that they wouldn't be excessively penalized for not knowing a law or a rule that was changed on Friday night meeting. Had to be penalized for Saturday morning, so.
Okay.
I try to be balanced.
Okay, thank you. Anybody, any of the other board members have any comments or? Kimberly, would you like to do the roll call, please?
Paul Campbell,
Yes.
Scott Wood,
Yes.
Ellen Bergner,
Yes.
Jim Hunt,
Yes.
Dennis Dean,
Yes.
Larry Munger,
Yes.
Stephanie Zagamian. Yes. Jenny Hager
Yes.
and Kelly Johnson.
Yes.
Approved.
Okay, I'm gonna do the next one. Resolution number 052022C, resolution to place on the 2022 annual ballot a proposal for Spectrum TV and Internet capital assessment. Whereas the Sandy Pines bylaws, the bylaws, Article 3, membership dues, special assessments, capital assessments, Section 4, capital assessments, provides placing on ballot certain requirements for capital assessments. Whereas Article 3, Section 4C of the bylaws permit that the board may impose such capital assessments for specifically identified capital expenditures, current or future, upon all new members, all transferee members, and all current members by resolution at valid meetings of the board from time to time. Approval or disapproval of the proposed capital assessment shall be made by a simple majority of the members present at such an annual or special meeting of the membership at which a quorum is present either in person or by absentee ballot pursuant to procedures approved by the board. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated proposes to place on the 2022 annual election ballot for the membership of Sandy Pines to decide by a vote on August 20th, 2022, the following. The Board of Directors are asking the membership to approve the following proposal. Shall the membership approve an annual Spectrum Charter TV and Internet assessment of $426 per member per year for the year-round 12-month TV and Internet services, including new infrastructure and equipment, replacing the current $136 annual seasonal 6-month cable assessment and the current 192 seasonal 6-month internet fee for a period of 5 years. Assessments shall not increase more than 6% annually to cover possible increased costs from Spectrum Charter during the initial 5-year period. After initial 5-year assessment, pricing and program to be reviewed with Spectrum Charter, where either party may cancel with a 6-month notification or automatically renew annually every 12 months. Assessment to begin October 1st, 2022. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve for a member vote at the 2022 annual meetings the above proposal. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the resolution. I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Anybody have any questions or comments that they want to make? Yeah, please, Jeff.
Okay, so why is this coming forward, for a vote for assessment? We have from an operational standpoint, our contract with Spectrum is every 2 years. We go through a negotiation period every 2 years. Our contract ended actually last fall after the season was over. Spectrum came to us and said they will no longer honor that contract. Here's your new deal. And you have to have everybody in the park accept it. After a few negotiations that Kimberly and I went through with Spectrum, we rolled out our process as a Sandy Pines community that if you are forcing all of our members to take this, that is called an assessment and the members need to vote on it. So we got an extension for the current contract through this fall. So cable modems will be continuing this fall. After this fall, they will no longer honor that contract. But again, if you do the math on this, what is changing currently now, $136 for cable for 6 months while you're here. $192 for modems while you're here. Everybody gets cable, that's an assessment. Modems have a choice. They're taking that and saying everybody has to get the cable and a modem. So the change in pricing is going to go from $328 for 6 months to $426, and you're going to get 12 months service. And then you're asking yourself, well, I'm not here 12 months. We do have members that link up their cameras to their Wi-Fi, and when modems are shut off or go down, to monitor their sites throughout the season, off season, they will try and call Spectrum, and the Spectrum will not fix those modems for them. So this is a 12-month year-round. If you come in during the off season, you have access to that. The 426, if you do the math on that, it's about $35.50 per month for cable service and your modem. What they're proposing is your current modems that you have now are 200 Mbps, megabytes per second, downloading of anything that you download when you're connected to Wi-Fi. And the speed of uploading is 10. The new modems that they're going to swap out for us is going to be 400 Mbps, so twice as fast for downloading, and 20 Mbps for uploading, twice as fast. They have to do a capital expenditure to upgrade the cable throughout the park. They have to put some new nodes throughout the park. They have to do some fiber optics, which will connect to existing cable throughout the park. And this typical package, if you were to go residential, is $177 a month. So if you were to do the math on that, That's $2,100 for an annual cost. The 5-year assessment is for them to get their payback on the infrastructure that they have to come through and upgrade, as well as equipment, modems, things of that nature. And the short version on this is after this season, if we don't approve this, then we will not have service. We have gone out and we've talked to a couple of other companies that do similar type of spectrum connections with modems and cable TVs and things of that nature. Every time we bring somebody in, oh yeah, we can do that. We're very similar to you guys. We have a park that's 150 campsites. 325 was the largest campsites that these companies had. They don't understand this is a city. The other thing that when we talk to other contractors to come out here and try and give us alternative pricing, Spectrum Charter owns all of the cable and technology and nodes in this park. So they will have to get permission from Spectrum to connect, and that's going to come at a cost. Spectrum will charge them, and then those individuals will turn around and charge us. So again, if you look at it, I did get a question as, hey, it's just an assessment. So just members don't get a choice. There are provisions in the bylaws that if it meets a specific requirement from an operational standpoint, operations can assess that. Two things. One, again, giving the members the vote and the say in the decision. And two, this exceeds that bylaw and that dollar amount. So we've got a decision. We see more members working remotely here. Yeah, they may be working during the week or on the weekends. You will get ability to download apps and throughout the park connect if you're taking kids or your grandkids to the beach or the pool, if you want to watch on a phone or a laptop or an iPad. So it is getting the technology in the park more current. But we've tried everything and our backs are kind of against the wall right now. So it is a good price for what they're offering. Again, if you take this residential pricing, it's $177 a month, and they're charging us $35.50. There are throughout that 5-year program, we've capped any increases that they could give us at 6%. They've said in this region that, on average, it's 6%. So when we hear on average, it could be 6% 1 year and 10, 12 the next. We've capped it at 6%. So we've done a lot of work on this. We feel we've got the best proposal for the membership. But again, it's up to the membership to vote on it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board members? Hearing none. You gonna do the roll call, Kimberly?
Kelly, Stephanie Sigmund,
Yes.
Scott Wyman,
Yes.
Ellen Riveter,
Yes.
Jenny Hager,
Yes.
Jim Hunt, Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis King,
Yes.
Larry Munger,
Yes.
Paul Pepple,
Yes.
all approved.
Dennis is going to read the next one for me. Thank you.
This will be resolution number 052022D. Resolution to place on the 2022 annual ballot proposal for new South Shore building replacement, Phase 1 Pavilion for membership vote. Whereas the Sandy Pines bylaws, Article 3, membership dues, special assessment, capital assessments, Section 4, capital assessments provides placing on ballot certain requirements for capital assessments. Whereas Article 3, Section 4 of the bylaws permit that the board may impose such capital assessments for specifically identified capital expenditures, current or future, upon all new members or transferees members and all current members by resolution at valid meetings of the board from time to time. Approval or disapproval of the proposed capital assessment shall be a simple majority of the members present at such an annual or special meeting of the membership, at which a quorum is present either in person or by absentee ballot pursuant to procedures approved by the board. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated proposed to place on the 2022 annual election ballot for the membership of Sandy Pines Resort to decide by a vote on August 20, 2022, the following. The Board of Directors are asking the membership to approve the following proposal. Shall the membership approve replacing current Phase 1 indoor pavilion and construction of a new South Shore Activity Center with funds approved through the FEMA, which is Federal Emergency Management Agency, process resulting in FEMA-approved funds to cover 75% of defined hardened cost with Sandy Pines with Wilderness Trails Incorporated, covering the remaining 25% of defined hardened cost plus non-hardened cost defined as ancillary project cost, not to exceed a total Sandy Pines contribution of $2 million. This project goes in front of the membership for approval of a 4-year assessment starting on October 1, 2022, in the amount of $231.27 per year per member. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve for a member vote of the 2022 annual meetings the above proposal. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments or information on this resolution?
Can we just chat about the building that we have there, the existing building and how much it's gonna cost to replace the roof and the
Yes.
foundation? Just so that people know what we're looking at as far as.
Yes. So good question. Currently in the capital fund budget, the capital reserve, excuse me, that was approved in 2017, there's $300,000 approved and allocated for an upgraded roof to that building. Again, that's 2017 dollars. Right now, and as we communicated last month, part of the membership in regards to the cart bridge said, hey, let's delay this and think about this. If we were to delay that cart bridge, materials, I believe, went up 25% and labor went up about 25 to 30%. I may have those mixed up, but increase in materials and labor is not slowing down. You can see that like inflation rates and what we have for CPI at 8.6 right now. So the quote that we received in 2020, 2021 to fix that roof, just the roof, was $310,000. You add another 30% on top of that, that's another $90,000. You're looking at $400,000. And that does not include getting electrical or HVAC up to code. That building's 50 years old. The other thing that we've seen on that building, we had an engineering assessment done in August of 2021. The building is moving towards the lake. There are foundational cracks. All things considered, you could repair those cracks. It's not in too bad a shape, but the building, I think the technical term that the engineer gave it was a train wreck. It is leaking. It's bad. So estimates on HVAC, again, back in August of 2021, was HVAC and electrical structure up to code, $150,000. And then you're looking at the patio that's facing the lake. There's foundational cracks in that up to $25,000. That whole thing could potentially have to be torn off and then rebuilt. So if you add all that up, you're looking at about $560,000 plus to fix a roof with electrical, with HVAC, with foundational issues that nobody really uses because people are starting to use this shelter here in this building for a lot of those activities. So the information in front of the membership is going to be, do we want to spend that amount of money on a building that is underutilized or not utilized at all for the FEMA process again, which will be in front of the members, 75% governmental dollars to 25% Sandy Pines dollars. Do we want to put that 560 plus towards that and get a building that, if you look through the renderings, has indoor basketball courts, indoor pickleball court, indoor shuffleboard, has showers for people coming off the beach, has beach showers, there's activity rooms in there, and the front area, it has a nice area for people just to congregate. And what is not in the budget is the dairy dip, although the dairy dip is run by a non-Sandy Pines operational or member. The building is Sandy Pines' responsibility. That too is a 50-year-old building that is going to need to be either torn down, rebuilt, or have significant money sunk into that. So again, this is getting in front of the members with, we have some infrastructure issues here, and we can continue to plot along and just let them continue forward, being 50-plus-year-old buildings, and patch them up, or we can start thinking about, do we want to spend our money on something that is more conducive to the community that we're seeing here.
You may want to clarify, Jeff, on the roof, that it's not a simple, let's take the old shingles off and put new shingles on. Okay, or when you say 300,000 for a roof, what does that mean? Maybe clarify that a little bit.
The clarification on that is if you look at that roof right now, it looks like a bunch of little Pizza Hut roofs put together. And that structure needs to be completely torn down, brand new trusses, and a completely redesign of that roof. That's why it's costing so much. It is not just tearing off shingles and repairing it. From what I understand, that's been done in the past, and we've done some repairs internally to try and stop the leaking on the inside. It's just at a point where it is a complete tear down for that roof and redesign and rebuild. Great point, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, I have, yeah.
Just for clarification, that should say $231 per membership versus per member.
Per membership.
Per
It's
membership.
per member, but it's per membership.
So there are two members per membership. We don't want to double up that 231.27.
Right.
We
Okay.
want one fee per.
How about per site?
Per site.
How about per site?
Per site.
Membership per site.
Per membership.
I have another change that maybe we could look at a second.
Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is we're going to have to make an emotion to make those changes. So probably what we should do first is make a motion to change that from member to membership. Does somebody want to make that motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any questions on what we're changing here? Membership per site. Okay, and then I'd like some input from the board. Jenny has another item that she wants to change. Do we want to vote to make both of those changes at the same time, or do you want to vote to make?
Let's hear it.
Okay,
I think it should say capital assessment. So that it's clear that this is capital money, not operating money.
okay. Is that in the 4-year? Where it's
Yeah, right after 4-year, we should insert the word capital assessment. For those of you that may not know, and I just recently am learning every day, right? We have operations, we have capital. And the way we are taxed by the government is we are taxed on operations, but we're not taxed on capital. So by making sure we clarify things like this, that we don't get taxed on that.
Okay, there has been a proposal to amend this. I'm going to read what the proposal is, and then we can act upon that proposal before we go to the main motion. This project goes in front of the membership for approval of a 4-year capital assessment starting on October 1st, 2022, in the amount of $231.27 per year per membership. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept this amendment.
Second.
Okay, and we're gonna vote on that by simple majority. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Amendment carries. Are there any other comments from the board or questions? I do want to take just an opportunity to talk a little bit about the value of another storm shelter. People have said that this area, it's not common to have tornadoes, that, this may not be necessary, but I'd like everybody to take an opportunity when they get home to look at what happened in Gaylord, Michigan today. They are even less of an area that's affected typically by tornadoes. It's very rare to have a tornado that far north. They had a tragic tornado. I'm not sure about loss of life. It just happened. But one of the things you should look at is the trailer dealership that was hit and what that tornado did to those trailers. So, I'm going to come right out and say I'm very in favor of this just because it's a safety feature. And I think, we're sitting ducks in those tin cans, and that's what they are. So that's my personal opinion.
That's it.
Our power outage last summer also really showed the need that we have, the long extended power outage that we have really showed the need that we have for more structure, more safety for members, more power sources, showers, et cetera, that can run off generators.
I just wanted to add that if I know, Jeff or somebody mentioned that there'll be indoor, like athletic type activities inside that building. And I think that's also a huge amenity. We're here in the summer, which usually the weather's nice, but it isn't always nice. And so I just think that would be a great amenity also to have some of those indoor activities in that building, that we will be allowed to have those types of things because in the event of an emergency, there's nothing that really would have to be moved out of the way to get people in.
Anyone else? I think we're ready for the roll call.
Jim Potter,
Yes.
Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas King,
Yes.
Larry Margaret,
Yes.
Paul Campbell,
Yes.
Stephanie Stefania, Scott Wyden,
Yes.
Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Jenny Hayden, yes, all approved.
Okay, this is the last one, guys. Bear with me. Resolution number 052022E, resolution to place on the 2022 annual ballot proposal for funds transfer above 2.5% of Sandy Pines' current annual operating budget to build a new outdoor phase 2 pool for membership vote. Whereas the Sandy Pines bylaws, the bylaws, Article 4, sale and purchase of association properties, Section 2, sale and or purchase of personal property, provides placing on ballot certain requirements. Whereas Article 4, Section 2 of the bylaws permit that the Board of Sandy Pines may consider the sale and or purchase of personal property on behalf of Sandy Pines. The board shall not spend more than 2.5% of the Sandy Pines current annual operating budget for a single construction project or asset. Any expenditure in excess of this limitation must be approved by a majority of members voting at a special or annual election where such proposed action is disclosed in the notice of such election provided. Whereas the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated proposed to place on the 2022 annual election ballot for the membership of Sandy Pines Resort to decide by a vote on August 20th, 2022, the following. The Board of Directors are asking the membership to approve the following proposal. Shall the membership approve the transfer of up to 1.5 million in funds from operations, which is in excess of 2.5% of the Sandy Pines current annual operating budget, to fund additional construction costs over and above $500,000 for a new Phase 2 outdoor pool previously approved and allocated by the members during the 2017 Capital Reserve Fund vote. Total cost not to exceed $2 million with an estimated construction start date of 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve for a member vote at the 2022 annual meetings the above proposal. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Sandy Pines Wilderness Trails Incorporated does hereby approve the above resolution. I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution. So moved.
Support.
Okay, do we have any questions, comments, information on this proposal?
You want to propose the question? You want me to?
You do such a good job.
You can add to it what I'm looking. So this is clearly, we all want more pool space. It was in the 2017 Capital Reserve Fund budget. And it was in there for $500,000. Well, clearly we know we can't get much for that anymore. We've had quotes from a couple different contractors to come out, and we have some options. We, I think, had some renderings of some options. It could potentially be up to $2 million. One of the things is electrical also. There's no electricity or anything in that area. So we'd have to run that in addition to parking, just everything that would entail. So this is just a motion. It's not going to more money come out of your pockets for this. This is a motion to move money from the operating budget into capital budget to fund this project if necessary. I'm trying to remember, I was going to say something else. We're looking at a zero entry pool, keeping the depth to no more than 5 feet, I think. That also helps with the lifeguards. The deeper it is, the more lifeguards and that we need. So we're trying to look at that we need some staffing, but we don't want to build something that we can't staff. We're trying to use that area to the best of our ability. One of the rendering that we have is like a, what do they call it?
Infinity.
Infinity look that looks out towards the lake there. Handicap accessible. There will be shower rooms there and like outdoor shower because it is near the beach. Anything else?
To clarify where it is to
Yeah,
phase two.
so location on this, again, we,
Not your fault.
last fall, we had, to Jenny's comments, we had a couple of construction companies come out. We took a look at our maps. Again, this is being generated by feedback from our pool committee, who's getting feedback from members that, we need an additional pool, got, potential capacity issues. And as you see in the resolution, this was approved in 2017. Again, I think prior to me being here, there were some resolutions on there, indoor, outdoor pool, things of that nature. This was dusted off with the pool committee, and the location where this would reside is in phase two, where you have the disc golf area, the pickleball court back there, and some of that, the Gaga ball pit, and some of the kids' playground area. So there's going to be a relocation. There would have to be a relocation of some of that equipment. We can repurpose that. But another thing that we're running into, because we continue to grow, is starting to be landlocked with drainage fields and things of that nature. So there's not a lot of places to put a pool. This is one of the few places that we could put it there. The quotes that we received, again, last August, last September, were anywhere from 1 million to 1.7 million, depending on the size. The rendering that you have up there, as Jenny highlighted, it's an affinity look. It does have changing rooms. It does have outdoor showers. It has an ADA walk. It has what you call the zero entrance, where you can walk in and then it drops down. It won't be deeper than 5 feet. Lifeguards, that helps us out with lifeguard training and things of that nature. But the current dimensions that you see up there is 60 by 100, depending on, again, additional renderings. And once we get firm buildings, it could be 60 by 100, or it could be 60 by 90. It could be, if the resolution, again, back to the members, passes, we have to maintain that for more than $2 million. And the cost will determine the size of that pool. So that's what we have from the ownership right now.
The one thing that this resolution has, or actually doesn't have, and there's no assessment in this. We're asking to move money that we already have for the pool. But it's all in trying to be open to the membership as to what we want to do rather than do it and have people question it. And again, it's got to give everybody a chance to put some good foot on what kind of pool it's
One
doesn't cost you nothing.
One last comment. We do have a projected start date of 2024. So as we've talked to construction companies, by the time you design it, you send it out for what we call request for proposals to get costing, and then make a sourcing decision, and then actually break ground on that construction. Construction companies right now are about 2 years out on pool projects. So that's why we would start the assessment now in October. You would build that assessment up, but ground would not break until 2024 based on the contractor timeline. If that could be pulled up, we could do that. But right now, all timelines that we've seen in this is years out.
But it's not an assessment.
Or I'm
You
sorry.
did use the term assessment, just want to clarify.
But by the time, if it gets approved by the members to move cash from operation, thank you for the clarification. If we get the approval to move cash from operations, we would try to improve that date of 2024 if at all possible. Not an assessment.
Not an assessment.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Hearing none. Kimberly, could you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Kelly Johnson,
Yes.
Dennis King,
Yes.
Larry Munger,
Yes.
Paul Howell,
Yes.
Stephanie Sipanian. Yes. Scott Wyman,
Yes.
Ellen Carpenter,
Yes.
Jenny Dager,
Yes.
Jim Hunt,
Yes.
Oliver.
Okay. The last item that we have under new business is the approval of new committee members. We're very fortunate and blessed to have five people volunteer for committees. We still need more. We want more input. We want more involvement. For the pool committee, we have Darren Jousma and Travis Smith. The rules committee, we have Butch Levincy and Holly Maluski. And the safety and security committee, we have Sue Stake. These people have already been approved by the committee members, and now the board needs to additionally approve them. I'll entertain a motion to approve these new members.
So move. Support.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we are going to do member comments. So as we ask, please use the microphone.
Name and site number.
Name and site number, please.
Joel Butler, N257. I think I understand most of them, right? The first two, motions, changes, is there any way we could get it a little bit more of a layman's term, plain language, right? To better understand what you're changing in the bylaws. Secondly, I think I understand there's two assessments, right? That are going to cost additional money per year. First one is the cable and internet, right? And that will just probably go on forever, right? Because that's just going to be an increase in what our internet and cable costs, right? Which that one I'm not too worried about. The other one is the Southside Building assessment of $230 some odd dollars, if I'm not mistaken. This one, I'm curious to know, why is that money not coming out of that capital reserve fund that we've been paying into for these years that we approved back there in 2017, specifically for capital projects? Right, like I believe some of the other projects that have been done recently through here have come out of that money as well, right? So shouldn't that be coming out of that capital reserve fund and not as an assessment to us? Because that is how it was sold originally to us, that we would not have to pay these assessments if we approved this capital reserve fund. That was stated, right?
Yes, that was a statement. And what I'm going to say in the response to your comment is we will be getting more information out on all those things. But I really do appreciate what you said, because that helps us give people more information.
I do also appreciate the voting. That's super awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Bader, Wall, G165. The question I have is that proposed building is going to replace the old Happy Shack area, the pavilion that's coming down supposedly. Are you looking at spending $8 million? Is that correct?
No.
Sandy Pines allegation is $2 million, which is a quarter. FEMA's going to pick up $6 million. So it's $8 million. Is that correct or not?
No, that's incorrect, Jim. That's incorrect. The quote we have right now is 6.2 to 6.4 million total.
But yet you're coming up with Sandy Pines cost of it of $2 million, correct? Not 25%.
Up to
25% would be less than that.
So again, we'll provide additional information when these campaigns start coming out. There'll be more information on the website. There'll be more information sent out. We'll get into the costing details and we'll start communicating that.
What is the square footage of the proposed building versus the size of the existing pavilion?
Come tomorrow.
This was comment.
It is
Comment.
comment only.
Q&A tomorrow.
Questions?
Q&A
What we're
tomorrow.
doing tonight is the business portion, and we're trying to get these things on the agenda or on the ballot. The face-to-face meeting is more appropriate for this kind of question. And like we said, we will have more information coming out. You know, the vote is not until August, so we will have more information coming out.
However, the proposal of the 200 some dollars assessment, that's already set in stone, regardless of the price of the cost, correct?
We will have more information coming out.
So what you're saying is the assessment may be less, possibly more after your vote?
The vote is what I just read. That is what we vote on. What I just read.
237 for.
Regardless of how the cost change, it's still going to be the same amount of the assessment.
I'm not going to debate this minute by minute. I
I
know, and I'm not, this is not the agenda, this is not the forum for this kind of question and answer. That is face-to-face meetings. Thank you.
Eric Sinclair, K343. I want to thank you for your transparency in going through the costs of all of these new assessments. Just my back-of-the-napkin math amounts to about $700 for those of us who don't have cable, between the inflation adjustments, $300-ish, or if you don't have internet. If you don't have internet, $300-ish a year, plus the assessment for the South Shore proposed building. That's about $700 a year. Just want to make the comment that that's a lot. It's about 33-ish% on top of what we're paying now. And it seems like there's a unanimous opinion on the board that that's okay. That's a lot of money. That's what I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
The opinion of the board is that you should have the opportunity to vote on it. That's our opinion. Anyone else?
Jim Buchanan, N8, and I understand all the costs and what people are looking at. However, we chose to come here from a seasonal park that was not even 6 months use. It had very limited security compared to what we have out here. And we were in excess of $3,000 a year. We had no water park. The river was what it was and sometimes shut down because of different things running through the river. So what we have here is absolutely amazing. And I think we're lucky that we've gotten away with the prices we have so far. So thank you again for your transparency. I think people have to maybe look around and see what other places cost. I think this place is run extremely financially good for what we have available to what we could get our hands on. And now that I don't have to tear down every year and set back up, I'm even happier. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So
Second.
face to face tomorrow, 9 to 10.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. face-to-face, it's here in this same room tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And as we said before, we're rolling these things out. You will get more information. We promise you'll get more information on the pool and things like that.
Now you're bigger than us. No.
No, there's
No.
good questions, good questions, and we'll answer
Expect to fight.
to the best of our ability.
You know, you still have the CCW.
I'm gonna do this.